Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. My name is Omar Rashid, and I'm here with my good friend Dr. Rami Nasser. And we're here again for another episode of Rizq MDJD. Back again is our esteemed guest, Ustaz Almir Colan. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
As always, Ustaz, great having you. We're back here again after a couple weeks hiatus, but we had an invigorating talk last time you were here. We touched on what capitalism, socialism, communism, defined them a little, talked about what they aspire to in terms of objectives, what the roles,
a lot of their drawbacks and their shortcomings, and
their fallback shortcomings, some of the experiments of those systems that we've seen throughout history. I think we talked a little bit about the upcoming or potential Mamdani mayorship, or a lot of the hype around him, and why he has been appealing to a lot of the base or the people, not only in his district but outside of New York, throughout the country as well. I think today you wanted to speak a little bit about the role of society in an economy and what roles they play, how kind of orienting the view from the greater economic ecosphere to the role of the society, if that's correct.
Yeah, I thought it would be an interesting thought experiment for us to a little bit rethink what does it mean engaged citizen, and how does that happen.
Yeah, because ultimately these systems are supposed to serve the citizens and the people. Oftentimes it feels like that the average people in society are not really being served by the system, but ultimately it is supposed to be.
I would say that perhaps that is the problem, that idea that we have a first system and that system is supposed to serve us. I think that is the problem in itself. And now people will immediately jump and think this is very counterintuitive. Isn't it good that there is a system and serves me? Right, yeah, sure. It serves you, But what is the trade-off? It would be great to have a system that breeds for me, right? Great. But it will not be good. What is the trade-off? Work for me, does things for me. So it would be great to have a system that educates my children, right? So this idea of a system doing something for us that is supposedly aligned with our values, nuance enough. Just think about parenting as a system. That is the system. That is built and operates not just on commercial basis, it operates on basis of care, of love, of compassion, generosity. No other system would execute that with that level of care and diligence. The compensation is beyond this world. So the government as a system, or departments as a system, whether it's a food or healthcare or anything else, will not do what you think they are doing to benefit you. There is very rarely a time when the system benefits individual and there is no major trades-off. Now, there could be a time, military system or something along those lines, like you have a military and sort of do that. But if you go back in time, how to think about these ideas of the system? Okay, I'll give you a simple example. When the towns used to form, like my town, Sarajevo, when it used to form. And this, I'm connecting this to Waqf example of endowment. Most of the time, the towns would form around, in case of, let's say, Sarajevo and many other towns, there would need to be something like a center of the gravity. So often, in our history, it would be like a mosque and a marketplace. So often these two things will come together. And that is why most of our Waqf properties will be endowment of the mosque and then the market. Like talked about, from Medina to Sarajevo, to many other places, to Hagia Sophia and the market around it, to all of these places. You go to Damascus, you go to any other place, you go to Jerusalem. It's still Waqf managed by Jordan, right? So all of these locations would be for the public good. Waqf means something that is kept on hold, meaning its body, it's stopped. Right? You don't transfer it anymore. It is paused. And then what it does, it benefits people around it. So if you think about, let's say, I'll give you Sarajevo. Sarajevo has a term which is from Arabic and Ottoman, which is called Mahala, which means a community. Okay? It means a community. And that is the most basic unit of civil life, that community that forms then around the mosque and this market. Now, Waqf would often then, the people, rich people, would build a school, university, public bath, and so on. And so all of this was created in order to facilitate this community. A rich person in Bosnia, his name, particularly in Sarajevo, for example, there are many, but one of them that very famous, for example, Gazi Husrev Bey. So he was a very wealthy person who would, for example, there's a mosque, he would put a university, he would put shops around it, and all of that facilitated life of the community. Now, what is often missing in our thinking about that structure is that we now think as a Waqf is a concept that, like zakat, we think it's like a zakat which has a central authority that collects it. Here we're talking about different concept. We are talking about something that was managed by local communities. It is only in the later stages when the government wanted to control people and activities and the wealth, whether by Yugoslavia nationalizing that or taking it and building military barracks on this land and weakening the institutions of Muslim community, or to censor the political or any other criticism when our other governments would silence scholarly work. They would take away this institution that would fund these scholars. It is only then that we are seeing these structures starting to manage all of these vast properties. Think about, for example, let's say certain countries would have tens of thousands of buildings that are part of that Waqf. So originally governance, here is the point. How was the governance of these places done? So you go, for example, to Hagia Sophia, you would find that Sultan Mehmed al-Fatih, he left that one of the things in his deed was that every 6 months, group of people, leaders in the community, scholars, notables, would meet to discuss affairs of that endowment, Hagia Sophia at that time. They put endowment, who will recite Quran, who will lead Jummah, who will read prayer, who will open the door, who will put the lights on in the mosque. Everything was, and they put how much each one will get, 15 dirham for Friday Jummah, 15 dirham for Friday prayers. So there was a managers and so on, and there was a governing body which met in open, in public, so transparently. So you had the people of the community being joined with the community because they know their affairs are need. And they would discuss how do we manage these affairs of ourselves. And so you could talk about the needs, you are accountable to somebody, we live in that community. And so inside those bazaars, let's say those charshia or what they call it, shops or the market, then you would have this what we call free market economy, whatever, when people would then compete and do shops, again, in a very different manner that we see today. Now, in the midst of that, we have a community where rich are contributing to the infrastructure of the community, and the people are having this freedom to contract. Nobody is telling them how much to price things for when they're hiring, because they have ethics to pay people. There is no reason to have a minimum wage to interfere. There is no reason to put a maximum, minimum price laws. You just monitor that there is no some activities that try to undermine the market from regulatory side, like a cheating and so on. Okay, but there is no authority that comes. In fact, there is no tax like that. Somebody comes and say, now every time you say you buy from him to him, we take a cut. Why? Because I make another building next to the market and I call myself a government. You understand?
Yeah.
So it's only after where this community now take care of its needs and so on, and they cooperate. There's a place we do market, there's a agriculture products we make or produce manufacturing. We manage our affairs. Everybody knows, everybody works together. We allow competition. We don't allow third party to interfere when the third party start interfering. And number one, interference from the government. When the government suddenly starts saying, well, now, you know, I have a building, I'm called government. I'll now start taxing or taking cuts. This is a stealing. And this creates this body more and more that wants to take more and more from people. And then they say, what you used to provide services and transparencies and everything on the generosity basis, on the virtue and compassion, on the faith-based incentives, rich used to share and there was all of these things, I will do that by coercing you to take money from you. Okay? So this then creates these kind of a system. So more and more these kind of a systems go higher, they are isolated from these people. So now we have, let's say, Sarajevo as a city, for example, has got many of these areas, many of these mahalas where community live. Now we come on the top. I will now manage all Sarajevo. This bureaucrat who just yesterday finished the school. His career path is he finished university, he is a staffer, he writes the letter for this MP, and then he gets rewarded, and then career, without knowing anything, he gets to be now mayor or something, governor. And now he's saying, I'm going to solve these things. Now, he doesn't have a resolution on the ground. His job is, let me make a lot of things is happening. Cost of living, this happening, the little we need for the cats and stray cats here, something in our local street. You know, little things. So now and more economy, and the view gets up so far by these bureaucrats where the solution becomes so huge that it doesn't solve anything anymore. So think about US now, where you are, okay? So we have a cost of living where people cannot afford groceries. But AI is doing great. Stock market is booming. You see that?
Yeah.
So now we need more data centers. Now we need more towards that. This is jobs. So the size of this project is so big that on average, you understand? On average, economy is great. And now that filters down to every level of the government, where they will pick up on the big jobs, where they can boast. And they say, look, it averages out. You understand? And so underneath what you see when you see is people are not doing well. They are waiting for this system to do something for them, to fix it. But they can't micromanage this to that level. It's a too much on the ground. You understand? Like you can't go to the government or to the local council and say, you know what? My son doesn't listen in school. You are the system. You take the money. Take more money, fix him up. He can't. And then imagine if we try to outsource that problem. And that's how it is in everything. But in your local community, mosque, your street, your, let's say, neighborhood, you can discuss this issue. What's the problem? What are we doing? How we are doing? Because you are purchasing this not through purely money. You are purchasing this through the community engagement, the raising of the village. You know how they say to raise the child takes the village.
Yes.
Yes, not the government, not the local council or a federal or a state government. Yeah. You understand? That's not a village. That's a corporation that only works if you pay them. So the solutions that they're going to start, they say, oh, we have a mental health crisis. What do we need? We need more money. Where is it going to go? We'll build more offices. We'll have more presentations to the schools. And then board of the school and principal will sign off that there is in now zero bullying policy. Very serious about it. And then on what's going to hit the ground? Talks, e-learning modules for the teachers because it's cheap. Nobody can't talk. Nobody. That's why you can't see psychology. So this breakdown of the community, law resolution on the ground to see what's happening by people affected and working is being destroyed. Our links. So we are basically in a situation that I'm going to link, maybe you can help me with this idea of the chemistry, okay? So recently, just a few weeks ago, there was the guy, Palestinian, Jordanian Palestinian, who won Nobel Prize for chemistry. I don't know if you noticed, if you watched it.
Sure.
Yep.
So now, I don't know much about chemistry at all. You know, grade 7, I think I had the last contact with the chemistry, you know. So what I'm about to say is not going to be correct in many, many scientific terms, but there is idea that I check with ChatGPT that is true, my understanding in this. In terms of this.
We have a doctor here.
Oh, gosh.
So I hope your knowledge of chemistry will help me. So here is the thing. What my understanding is, when I was reading, I tried to understand what was he studying, okay? So he was apparently studying, and I'll summarize it in my way. When you have any structure, let's say you have this structure. They say like a cube of sugar, okay? This cube of sugar, there is when you look at whatever they call this substance that builds these molecules or something, I don't know what it's called.
Atoms or whatever, yeah.
Atoms and stuff. Inside these things that connect each other, this smallest substance, there is a space, there is nothingness, there is a void.
Yeah.
Okay, void. So you have a dot here, and let's say atom. Maybe it's a molecule. I don't know even what's the big. Let's say there is a thing here, and there is another thing here. All right, that's the actual material. But then there is all of this is void.
Space, yeah.
Space. Okay. Now, if you collapse this. Okay, or if you build a surface out of it, okay, it's much, much, much smaller. In fact, and I checked this with ChatGPT, if you take the stadium, okay, what's the name of the stadium there that you are? Which
Raymond James Stadium.
Benchmark fame, something like that.
All right.
Yeah, we have
That stadium.
the football
I
stadium.
know.
Yeah.
You can have the same surface like the cube if you take it apart and collapse the void inside.
So you can compress it into like a much smaller space.
You can compress. Yeah. So if you just take the building blocks of it, you can collapse this huge thing into the cube, into the side of the cube. In a sense of the first, think about there is a volume, there is a surface. That's how I try to understand it, okay? So the volume is this. Now think about it from this perspective. So we have a cube here. Let's say this cube is built just on that thing. And this now expands and builds a stadium. And how does it do that? When you look at the stadium, wow, it's so solid. Like, how can it become like? Well, because inside it's all void, it's emptiness. Now, he used this to make material that will absorb the water into that void, which is how he captures the water from the air and then in the desert. And this is like a sponge, basically. Sucks the water in, that material. Okay? But that void, now think about that void. Think about structure then. Think about structure now that if it does not have these links, now think about links in this void that connect these pieces and hold something like a stadium now. The whole building material, these atoms or whatever, molecules or something, it's a size of the, could be, it's the same like this material when you flatten it. Okay? But whatever the structure is inside, including the void, but some architecture that holds it together, builds the strong stadium. All right? So that's how it works. So I check it, ChatGPT say, yeah, that's exactly how it is. So now I thought about the following. That means you could have a structure that is very fluffy without those bonds. Without those bonds that hold it together, it's nothing. Or with the bonds and all of that, you know, is a stadium now, solid. Think about what Prophet ﷺ said about the Muslims closer to the Day of Judgment. What will become of them? They will become like a huge pile of froth. Meaning that void, that emptiness will be there. Not supported by anything. Why it is a froth? You could have that same in the froth, the same structure that could make, all of these materials are the same. But what is missing in this froth that is not missing in the thing?
The bonds.
It's these different bonds.
Yeah.
The froth comes from that water. The same thing. It didn't come from the space. It's not a different thing. It's the same thing. But what bonds, architecture inside this that holds together the links between this is what will make this either froth or the structure. Okay? So when you have a Lego blocks, and in this house, I could collapse it in the bricks and the things and the nails, or I could, and that could be a surface that's just laying like a garbage. Or I could use the bricks and the glue and the nail and the thing and the frame, and then it become a fortress. Those glues and nails and the bonds are these, in our architecture, are these things. Working community, people, different kinds of instruments that builds the structures in the community. So you have, for example, if you think about it, community that works together, that builds institutions. Then you have a zakat that helps individuals stand on their feet. And so just if you look at from these two, without going into other instruments, you have zakat, which primarily puts the people into economy, and then in that economy you have structures that actually accommodate these people. So you have shops, you have schools, you have education, and on top of that you are free now to deploy your free market principles. Okay? Now, it is in those circumstances when you actually start building that economic and the community architectures. Now, the way you conquer these people is by breaking down these bonds. They become powerless. So now, for all of the talks of a civic society, our participation is mainly reduced to voting. Technically, you can lobby and, we can start Facebook group and talk about, something, but we don't live together. We don't meet together. We don't discuss. We don't organize and mobilize. We don't put a structure in. which is why you could have the whole world now seeing genocide and not be able to do anything, because it does not have a structure, does not have a pillars of strength that support this work. Now, in your community, you will have, of course, somebody will say, but we have a local council, we have a state elections, we have a federal election. Isn't these people? Yes. You go to the council, what are they doing? See the toilets run by your local council, and then tell me how good is this working. That's the litmus test. Go to the park, see how they run the toilets. They take a salary to run the toilet in the park, then they take cut from that.
Yeah,
then they hire somebody in the office. That guy in the office takes the cut. Then he goes to some other one until he finds cheapest somebody who will just say hello to the toilet once in a while. Is there now I need to clean it. I need to go to another one. They don't pay me enough for this. Just spray it a little bit with the spray. Put a little bit. That's why you go. Most of the time there is no soap. There is very filthy. There is broken door. No, you can't lock it. You understand?
Yeah.
But they will say, look, we built a big library. Cost us 99% of our budget. So this is what I'm saying. It's become too big, whether it's your local supposed government or higher. Who will fix this? It's community. When you go and you say, okay, we are here. This is our park. This is our thing. Make sure you are taking care, you fix it. And, I look at my father is a caretaker of this mosque, first mosque in Sarajevo that became Waqf for the Sultan Mehmed al-Fatih, who conquered Istanbul, And this is a people, how they do it is the old-fashioned way. These are the people who pray in that mosque. They have their own committee. They take care of every single thing. They know every nail in that place where it is. Everything. They monitor everything. They come. There is a purpose. There is a community. Everything is happening. They are monitoring. They have a farm that grows the food that they sell to support the activities. They take it so seriously, like better than their own home. It's a pride of them, of the community. It's a mission. It's a purpose. This is what we are losing. These kind of incentives to gather around it, communities everywhere, to work together, and not just think that big government or big corporation will deliver something to us that is wholesome, beneficial, and at the level of details that we truly need. They will be self-serving. They will provide big things, average out, okay, well, we build a data center in the state, make so much money, so I guess economy is good for everybody.
Yeah, it's a lot different than the model you described here, where the community is taking care of the masjid. Everyone feels like they have a role to play. Everyone feels a responsibility upon their shoulders. And frankly, if you're a parent or you're any member of the community, you're not going to be okay with your masjid, your markets looking a certain way, and you're going to feel like I have to do it for the benefit of my children or my family and my neighbors.
I think that's the ideal, but I don't think that's not the situation right now, right?
No, of course. Now you're reliant upon the city council and elected officials, people that have never come to your market or your masjid or only come for votes to collect votes. And
it's become almost like the default mindset is to delegate all that to someone else.
And like what the Ustaz is saying, they want to go for the eye-popping public works projects so that they can leave office and say, I built that bridge. It's a way for them to kind of culminate achievement and success.
Because you have to show some type of proof, right? Obviously, some people have no damir and they'll just do nothing. But they have to give you some glamour that I accomplished something, I did something. But at the core level, as the Colan's mentioning, is I'm seeing even he's saying local council voting. What are we doing? We're just delegating the local community responsibility to someone else. We're just passing the buck to someone else, to someone else, to someone else. You know, like you mentioning school. And like I've talked about this before in terms of like where did the public school system come from? It's a reality. We're dealing with it, right? But although, mashallah, a lot of people like homeschool, that's a huge commitment. My hat's off to them. But like, where'd that come from? That came from like in Europe trying to essentially do mind control so we can get the citizens to learn what we want them to learn and to obey the system in place. And so I remember one person was asking me, he's like, so you tell me this, you know, you have a stranger danger, mashallah, kid, but you know, you teach your kids, you're like, you can't just go to anyone, you can't just talk to anyone, you got to be careful. Why would I put someone I don't know, I've barely met, with my child 40 hours a week, not just like daycare, but to teach them and educate them, because I'm delegating that responsibility to someone else. And we're doing that in everything. And subhanAllah, like even the mindset of, I'm not saying it's easy, because obviously the way society is like, you know, I think we can find the time if we want to, right? It's all about priorities. But like, we're so busy with so many things. You're like, oh, I'll let someone else take care of this. I'll let someone else do this. But it's my two thoughts on this were like, one is, in a way, it's kind of like the same mentality in terms of riba. Is like, well, I'm just going to sit back and I'm going to do nothing, and I want to make money. I want to get profit off of not putting effort, without putting the time and effort into getting the result. Versus, guess what? If I'm going to make meaningful product, services, etc., that's harder for me to do, but then inshallah I can get effort from it. And then the other thing too is you had mentioned the hadith of Rasulullah about the ghathath, and there's a hadith that's almost like the exact opposite, by the same topic, where the Rasulullah says al-mu'min kal-bunyan yashuddu ba'da ba'da. And so like the Rasulullah is telling us, the believers, we have to have these bonds. We're supposed to pull one another, we're supposed to connect one another, we're supposed to give each other structure. You know, like if we got to know another, like we don't even give salam, like you can go to the same masjid for like 20 years and you've talked to the guy and you're left all the time because you sit in the same place. You go overseas, you see this. I'm sure this is the same in Syria.
Of that too,
like in Egypt, it's the same guys.
Names, yeah.
They sit in the same place in the same spot every single Friday, etc. And they talk to each other for like 20, 30 years. And then there's a guy like 2-3 people down or right behind them, whatever. They've never said salam to in like 20, 30 years. There's a wealth of ideas and experience and opportunities that we can capitalize on from the Jama'ah, which is what? A place of Jama'ah, a place of bringing people together. That's one of the whole core purposes of the masjid, is a place to bring people together, a place to forge those relationships and those bonds, etc. And like as I was saying, like it being the community center, you know, it was the courthouse, it was the play place, it was the declaration of war, it's the marketplace, everything. Like the masjid is the center of the community. SubhanAllah. It's
a community-centric religion.
Yeah.
We call it al-Sunnah wal-Jama'ah, not al-Sunnah without Jama'ah.
Al-Sunnah wal-Fard, right? The person, I do my own thing, my own way.
That's right. So what you were saying, that hadith, you know, believers are like a structure that support each other. So the word you said, which is exactly where we are heading, is that believers in that formation give a structure to each other. So one brick is not a structure. Formation is the structure. And you then give to another building, you give each other that structure when you fit together.
Yeah.
And so I think sometimes we look at and overlook that believers are like brothers, and, you know, what pains you, I feel, and, you know, I support you. We don't realize the bonds here, these bonds, and how much effort it takes to maintain those bonds. Those bonds, it takes working on this. You see, every time you have a situation, you say, okay, well, I'm getting this, I'm going to do this, or you always need to ask yourself, what's going to be a trade-off? What is the trade-off that I have been disconnected from my people, from my community? What is the trade-off that I don't volunteer? My kids don't volunteer. I don't make an effort to We talk about preserving the relationships of the womb, family relationship.
Yeah.
You understand? What is why don't you have that, I don't know, barbecue in Saturday morning with the family? Okay, you work, you're busy, okay, but can you all come together Saturday morning for a picnic, barbecue? Friday night, somebody's.
Yeah.
Even from the family perspective, when I see, I was talking with one family member where they have like 9 siblings, and then their mother has a 9, and like all the big family, and every day of the week they meet at different place, and the kids and everybody, and they build the houses that has a huge backyard. They're Lebanese, so they have all of those. They grow all of the things from olives to the whatever tree you can think of, and herbs and spices, and of course there is a garage which is huge, where the guys sit, and you can put a fire, you can just talk after Juma especially. So these kind of from the community, from the family to the community, this is where we sacrifice that. We sacrifice that, and now. We do not perhaps value that your level of awareness and intelligence generally, how much that will be increased just by that of what's happening. So your community intelligence and your general understanding of the world around you, reality, is hugely, and it's like a data centers. If you didn't have a data center and you put all of these computers separate to work, we're never going to have AI. Same with people. You scatter people together. Why we have universities, why we have a madrasa, why we have a halakas, this is a real intelligence where everything is increasing. So as we talk, as we live, as we solve problem, we find the solutions that create better impact for us. They work better for us. And this is where I think the world is going, which is that if the top level now roof falls off, I think we are exposed. We do not have the societal structure to handle a roof blowing off in much of countries around the world anymore.
Absolutely, and you're mentioning like the bonds. SubhanAllah, like I was thinking about it right now. The word that Rasul says yashuddu, that's an active verb. It pulls, it enforces. It doesn't say yamil. It doesn't say like Muslims like are supported by other Muslims. You're just laying back, an active or a passive word. It's you're actively engaged. It's almost like Rasul is telling is part of your ibadah, part of you being a believer is you need to go and support your brother. And I think we've lost that. Not just the desire, but like the importance of that's something we have to do. Who else is going to support us if we don't support ourselves? Who else is going to do that? And like we talked, I think a few episodes ago, same thing about the nuclear family, and how important it is to have that mindset of we are together, we take care of one another, we stay together, we do things, as a family, etc. And then, obviously involving friends and families, etc. Here, SubhanAllah, like I think I don't know how much family you have here, but like for example, in my experience, because my parents immigrated here in the 70s, and the only family members that ever left. Everyone else is still back home. And so for us, like our few good friends are like brothers and sisters to us. They are family, always trying to do something, support one another, etc. Exchange ideas. Like you're saying, we run a business here too. One of the habits for highly successful business, what do? You have a meeting every single morning, or you have like a once a week, powwow and whatever. Because, hey, what's happened? What's going on? Exchange of ideas, thoughts, perspective, whatever. And I can't remember where I read this, but it was one of them where it's like the whole mindset of the CEO or the president or whoever runs the company leaves a complete open floor for anyone in the company to say whatever they want in terms of any criticism, whatever. Why? Because all ideas have a place. I'm not saying like obviously in Islam we don't have exclusives or like free for all or anything, but like you need to hear from everyone. Like I need to know about the toilets. You know, I need to hear about those toilets. I just don't want to hear about, oh, we're making lots of money. We need to hear about the toilets. We need to know the experience from everywhere. From a business perspective, you're doing it because you want customers. But from a community perspective, we need to know about the basic things. And I think, Allah Alam, like the what you're explaining to us, Ustad Colan, about like this huge bureaucracy. Because they're not there cleaning the toilets, they're not there seeing them. That's why, that's what's making Mamdani so. We were talking about this right before the episode. This was making him so popular, and that's what a lot of people who hate Trump's ethics and morals or lack thereof, etc. But he ran on cleaning the swamp and staying away from the establishment, etc. Because why? People want someone who's bringing down the prices of eczema. That's what people want to survive. People want to be able to afford things. But if you're over there and you're, like I said, doing these gigantic, expensive projects and you're not really solving the inner issues, that. But obviously, the responsibility comes on us too. Like, why are we delegating that responsibility?
So Ustaz, if you're saying that historically the Awqaf took such a great burden off of the government from spending on healthcare, schooling, a lot of what we'd call public benefits today, what role did the government have to fill at the time? I guess, you have to, some things have to be centralized, like military and some administrative functions, but that to me it sounds like if the Awqaf, which are private trusts or endowments, are taking care of a lot of the day-to-day, I assume the military, the central government's budget was a lot smaller, taxes were a lot less or minimal compared to what they are today. Is that correct?
Initially, there were no taxes. Traditional Islamic is this. There were no taxes. When Muslim countries, the Khalifa was paying people who lived in the country because of the ghanaim and the war, the booty, etc.
There is nothing called tax. Yeah. Tax is the theft. Of course, we have to do it now because the government tells us to do it. But idea of the tax is I'm taking your money. By what right am I taking your money? I can take 2.5 zakat. What if I take another %? For whatever reason, it's theft. So how it is then income tax allowed? How it is, on which basis? If I can't take, they say, but we are going to spend it for great purpose. But 8 categories of zakat are great purpose, yet if you charge me another % is injustice.
Yeah.
You don't have right. 2.5 is God gave you that right to clean my property. You understand? So you have to start first by the tool of that incentivize this bureaucracy. So when we start saying then that I have a right to take from your money because I'm called government, who gave you that right? It's my money. I deal with another person. Free person deals with a free person. Mm-hmm. We make an income and now you come as a third party to take it. So Allah says that do not take each other money except by mutual consent through some trade-offs. I give you something for something. So you can't. So you call it income tax to take my money. It's against me. You are now forcing me. It's a forced. We are talking about theological and a human argument. This is how it is, how it became. Now, once I open the door that I can take money from you and tell you, you need to do this, that, this. Then more money I take, I started creating bigger reasons why to take more. Because now this is self-serving. I can get more power, I can get more family members inside, and you understand?
Yeah. And I can police you and control you more.
Especially of the countries where the only way to prosperity that is guaranteed is the government jobs. Then, I have a lot of cousins and uncles, but I need to get inside.
Lots
every
of bureaucracy.
New elections.
Yeah.
You understand? So this is a very vicious cycle that now we are solving like that. I'm just trying to remember what was your question again with this, where we were going.
You're saying like
how the government solved this.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So
Or what
what did the government-
was the government's role?
All right. So the role of government originally was reduced to some issues of like a judge. Government is like a judge. It would have some kind of policies that are not cash intensive. You understand? They don't do these things for you. You do it. You know what you need. You are planning and organizing and can think about these sorts of things. So the government basically is something that is not so cash intensive in most of the cases, that would provide some kind of regulations. Like the Prophet ﷺ, you would have, or Umar after him would have people who would just go check market, nobody's cheating. Like what we have, securities agency, what they call this investment in securities regulatory agency,
SEC.
for example.
SEC.
For example,
Yeah.
here we call it ASIC. Great service. I love it. Who is cheating? Who is doing this? And so on. Military is another example where we need a more cooperation. That's why you have certain things, categories and people that, and that's why the Prophet ﷺ, how did he said to the people, who will donate, who will do this, that, and then people, wealthy people, just like they build waqf, they build for the thing, and from their zakat or other things of the critical. Anyway, that's how even today is funded, but through the taxation. So, of course, you see bureaucracy take now billions of dollars, Pentagon, nobody knows where the trillions go, never pass the audit. So it's become very, very reckless. That's why if you compare industry for industry now, Chinese airplanes perform better than some French now. Or Turkish defense industry now for the dollar, bang for the dollar as they say, now much more than European, for example. American you can't compete because they have an advantage of technology yet. But, those B-2 bombers and so they are in billions. And to maintain them is billions a year. So it's very, very bureaucratically huge and massive task. So the government in reality should focus on what is the main thing that we need to make sure that people are free to go about it. Which is why Umar, when he was Khalifa, he would just, to maintain these professional soldiers, he would take certain objects and land that they captured and make it sustainable for financing soldiers who guard the borders and these kinds of things, who run this administration, which is a nimble, small, just in the critical areas. The rest of the things, people can cooperate and figure it out. How are we going to build the road? How are we going to build things? What we want? Now in my area they say, we need to increase density of living, we'll need this building up. Because a developer got to the few councillors who will vote for his development. It's not good for our infrastructure, we don't need it, we don't want it, it's ugly. But few people with a couple of dollars hijack the local. And you understand? And so this is what the difficulty these kinds of things create. And because we don't have active citizenry anymore, the cost is now that you can just complain about it, right to the council. You can't do anything else. So we are reduced, therefore, to these very things. Much of the rest, the community can do. Community that is, anyway, people do it, whether through the structure of the government or through other structures. The other structure where you in community are working together will be much more efficient, much in tune with the genuine needs and wants of the community. And so this comes from mainly incentivization of taking more money, growing the bureaucracy, that creates its own jobs and fake jobs And that's why you now have all of the medicine is too expensive because of the bureaucracy. You have the shocking level of service everywhere. And so these are our problems. These are our problems.
And I think it makes sense if you woke up all of a sudden and at your business, someone's sick, someone left, what are you going to do? You're going to step in, you're going to figure out how to do it. And you know your business better than someone else. So you're not going to go to
Let me give you example.
Yeah.
Let me give you example from the health field, as you are in that field, okay? So think about your gut that they say is like a second brain, which is how you describe it in terms of curing the body, right? What are those little things inside that cure you? What they call the part of the culture? What is
you're talking about like the normal bacteria, or
not bacteria, but there is a name in the gut.
Probiotics.
The probiotics, okay.
But there is another one, another name, another piece.
Microbes.
Enzymes.
Mike.
That's what I thought about.
There's another name I heard, another thing. Okay, so there is a culture there, right? Is that what we call culture, right?
Okay.
Now the culture, what is the culture in general? When somebody say this is a culture, what do you think? You use whatever your education, legal, medical...
Customs.
What do they say?
Of
like,
what? What is the culture? When we say culture...
Customs,
the customs, the
understanding.
norms.
Yeah, but what is it? What is it? What is it?
It's the habit that a group of like-minded people recognize and follow, I guess.
It's how we do things, basically.
Yeah. Okay, that's a nice way to it. That's how we
do things. If you don't do things, what is that? There's no culture.
There's no culture.
You just don't do. So the culture comes from the root of what you believe in. And then you do that. Okay? So now think about culture in your gut that defends you constantly. It's constantly on defense, constantly is battling. So you eat your veggies, you eat your things, you eat a variety of things. You're constantly battling. Every day something is coming, right? Mm-hmm. Now, in what you're eating, you eat a cucumber. It has a million things we know and we don't know. We have no clue. But now, doctor comes and tell you, forget, you don't need all of that. Here's the vitamin C, bang, and you'll be healthy. And all of the campaign now is let's get more vitamin C and B. That will be, you are going to be number one. And everybody like, wow, I don't need anything else. Vitamin B, C, maybe A, couple more, look, I'm top. They don't know this tablet is synthetically made, and whoever made it doesn't understand in what they're eating has 100 different ingredients that they don't even know about, or what they do and how it correlates and how they interact and what other miracle body performs with these invisible components to keep it healthy. You understand? But what they studied and recognized so far is vitamin C is good, or B or something, right? You can have millions of these, but the point is how many more you don't realize. Plus, this one is synthetic.
Yeah.
So now, as a big body, big corporation or the government, you are feeding me that. Now, what's going to happen on my body? Because this is synthetic. The organic matter, the life become dangerous. So I become allergic on the peanuts, on the milk, on the strawberries. Because now body only knows synthetic. Now the real life starts killing me. So now I can't sit on the grass. It has to be synthetic grass.
In a bubble.
You understand? You have to be in a bubble. And everybody is in their own thing. You understand? Why? What was the trade-off? That your body, that structure in your gut is not constantly performing. It's not being fed to perform this self-correcting, self-healing. That is how the community is. Look at, for example, now in Palestine. Internal treason, external treason, this one. Every day a new issue comes up with these people. If you don't have active adjusting to the mode of attack, you're not going to survive. Because every day is a new fitna, new test. That is why, even in issue of morality, if you now go to the law now, what the law is expression of morality now of this culture, of this people, of this body. And so whatever the morality they adopt, which is now shifting, which if it is not able to cope and deal and get this virus and bacteria and the degeneracy out, will soon translate in the legal structure, in the law. You understand? And now this law will start shaping more of this culture, breaking down now these links and bonds and establishing something else. You understand? And so that's how we now end up in a situation like we now have. Because you empower taking of our money through big government bureaucracy. You empower everybody else except your own culture and body and your own people, your own micro communities and so on. Through this empowerment, all of the power and the strength goes and start filtering up. They start building these bureaucracies that starts coming very heavy on you. So now you can't, you now don't have any more bonds. They link the bonds now in themselves. Yeah. So that frothy idea that they used to be, the corrupt or degenerate idea, starts solidify with these. So for example, you see politicians, every decision is correlated with a big business or a big government and growing them. So the architecture that is now fighting you is now solidifying its own bonds and breaking your bonds. You understand? So if you go back, you are the frothy thing on the top of the what? Of the water that is built on solid bonds between each other. It's not a different thing. It both is water. For example, if you just take example of the frothiness that comes from the water. You understand? If I have a mixed water here is the froth on the top. You understand? You understand? But this is not something else. You understand? Yeah. So this just broken down things with the bubble air, nothing, no structure. And so more we disempower our own structure and more we give it. Where does that lead us? Well, that leads us to the situation where we don't know now where to channel our energy. So politician comes like Mandani and he gives this, government will run groceries. We are so desperate to go to the communism now because capitalism and Wall Street failed us so much that the grocery became issue. That's where the whole thing is. In the capital of the financial world, you have people don't have a grocery. How can you have that? But on average, everybody is a millionaire in New York, right? Everybody is rich, everybody is doing well. Because a couple of the big companies listed there and billionaires live in Trump Tower. So when Trump Tower people go there, the whole neighborhood is millionaire, averages out, right? And nobody sees the other people. That's why they're begging, can we have please groceries? Yes, on the paper I'm a millionaire. I don't have an apple. I don't have a veggie to feed my kids. I only have some synthetic chips that a big company, those guys are living in Trump Tower. They're going to make millions from these chips. I'm not going to be healthy from it. But then they have a vaccine for it. Don't worry, tomorrow. So you don't know what's... And then what is the only solution now we have? Mamdani or anybody. I hope he wins. But, alternatives is shocking. But where are the people left? If you are Mandani, here, like now, the politicians here sending us. They say, campaign. We need campaign people. We need now people to put this in the letterboxes. So my engagement now, politically, I need to put this in the letterbox. And after that...
You did your job.
What else I have? What else? You will fix now. Now the government can't give me groceries. So my engagement is to vote on the day and maybe share with a couple of people, bring them to vote and deliver these in the mailboxes. That's it. After that and before that, nothing else. You see how much we are now reduced. That's our vitamin C. In the sea of these things, just take vitamin C. It will be fine. But hang on a minute, there's so many things. And now go back to work. Go back to work, because guess what we need for that? We need to extract more of your money to build this bureaucracy. There is no solution to this. This huge bureaucracy cannot sustain itself. And we can see it collapsing. Everything is expensive, everything is brutal, and everything leads to extracting more money from people and leaving them with less. So the calculation and valuation has to start reorienting, where we start valuing each other's work. Who is who in our community? How do we get back to basis? All right, how do we feed the poor people? Yes, nobody wants to do it, but let's start with anything from the family links to your community. How do we start building and reversing this atomized society, isolated society, by ourselves? And so this is why I think when you look at Islamic economic architecture, all of the tools come from different angles. Some give you money in the hand, some give and reward people to building what will later become sustainable. Because even Waqf is not by itself sustainable. People think, just we gave a building and it became school. Yeah, who will finance it?
Community. We have to put our hands together and come up with the money.
Right.
We have to work for it.
That's right. You understand? So it's not just miracle. This person gave us a hospital. All right, run it now. You understand? We need to buy the things in this. So people need to have in their things something. You see, even those people who give waqf or give people who give zakat, they need a market that they will build that wealth. So it's not just one thing. So they need to be free to work on their free people. They need to be incentivized to give. Those things have to have a shortest route in local, which is why some of zakat, some people say most of it, needs to go to that location where it is made to solve these things. You understand?
Yeah.
Sometimes we make mistake. We just looking or just give everything to somebody. You need to concentrate on the way where you're living. You can't be just burning yourself like a candle. Yeah, bzzz, down and nothing. No, it has to be a self-sustaining candle. You understand? If something is important for you in that community, which I'll go back to the Awqaf of Sultan Mehmed al-Fatih, or as we say, Muhammad al-Fatih, but this was a Turkish version.
Of Muhammad.
He, in the Hagia Sophia, created a system that pays people who work on these things, because these things are very important. And as a general, he understands that you can't have an army that is not supplied constantly with things. You can't have an army now walk to another country across the continents and they don't have a good supply line. He understands logistics. That's one of the things. He was a great general. He understood logistics. Without support that your soldiers need, water, petrol, in today's terminology. If you don't have a petrol, what are you going to do? Which is why, beginning of Ukraine-Russia war, the main thing that Ukraine used to target with the Turkish drones were the supply lines of Russian, especially petrol, because the tank takes a full load, maybe half a day can run with the petrol that they have. Shoot, petrol, and it stops in half a day. No guns, any more munition, and no petrol. So it needs somebody to bring grenades and petrol, and also for the soldiers the rest of the stuff. So now what they did, they parked these trucks just beyond a little bit, like a couple 100 kilometers. So these people said, okay, why we target the tank when we can just pop a couple of these trucks and they're all like sitting ducks, And so as a general, he knew that you need what is this institution, Hagia Sophia, let's say, is so critical for us in spreading dawah, in teaching community, facilitating certain things, and having all of this, that it needs to be financed, which is why he built the shops and stuff that they paid into this, from these activities. So there has to be this, not everything can be commercialized, So certain things are not commercialized, certain things are commercialized, certain things are valued on charity, certain things are more cooperative nature, which is why we have this nuanced tool that pulls different parts of the community in a different way. And that is then what works. Okay? And so within that context, you look at the government, where the working community takes care of itself. That is the only self-sustaining. Whenever government involves itself in your life, daily things, it's never going to be good. It's never going to be good.
Jazakallah khair.
We got a lot of work to do.
I think I think this probably sets the stones for the next episode, in which we wanted to talk about the shepherd's model, correct?
Inshallah.
So, inshallah, we're looking forward to that episode. Anything you wanted to end with, Rami?
What was the word you're looking for? Gut flora? Is that what it is?
There is another word which I honestly was constantly thinking, but for some reason I just cannot. It does not come to me. But it basically came from one of the YouTube doctors. He was explaining how this, what is biome? Is that anything? I don't know. Biome or some
I think I know what you're saying.
There is something I cannot now recall it. A lot of things, concepts.
The biome.
Biome, right?
Yeah,
what is that? What is that?
It's like the microbacteria that make up the gut lining. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think, when we are told, look at yourself, the signs in you, look at this, look at that, there is a system, there is a message, there is a thinking you can, So all in all, what I was saying is that this is like a sugar in your diet. The government funding is a sugar. Soon you become diabetic and damage your body from too much addiction on it.
It might sustain you in the at first, but
it might be good.
Ultimately it's gonna.
And it tastes good because you don't have to do anything about it. But then eventually they give you diabetes. Don't worry, we have a pill for that. We'll give you blood pressure. We have a pill for that. Cholesterol. We have a pill for that.
That's right.
And all of them are just gonna make you more.
SubhanAllah, how it's expressed in all facets of life. Like if there's an issue, as you mentioned, with the sugar or the equivalent, which is government intervention, the solution is to just give it a pill or to give it a surface level, to address it in a surface level way, which will address the symptoms, but not the underlying cause.
And a lot of them, I think this is like also, we mentioned this a couple episodes too, also about like, the whole get rich quick scheme or whatever. Like just in general, as society as a whole, I'm not absolving myself from this, but like we just want the shortest, quickest, fastest, least effort to anything. Like no one wants to put the effort in. Yeah. But any of these problems, they're going to take time and effort. And on the flip side, it's a lot of time. It's a lot of effort. It's a lot of heartache. It's a lot of sleepless nights, etc. But as a result, number one, I think Colan mentioned this. You will never taste the satisfaction from something unless your effort's into it. And the second thing is, you're never gonna get what you really wanted until you put the time and effort. It's like raising kids, and that's literally what was coming to my mind was talking about that, like the sleepless nights, exhaustion, and whatever. once you have kids, like at least kind of my experience, you stop becoming husband wife. You're now mom and dad first. If there's leftover time, then it's like husband wife. But like you're living for them all the time. That's if if you really want to like be do the best we can to get the most out of our kids in terms of like raising the right, etc. You just got to be there 24/7 on top of it, etc. And it's a lot of heartache. It's a lot of sacrifice.
That is also what you're describing, a problem of somebody will solve it, and I now have my own battle, without realizing, again, you have to be vitamin C, that is also D and B and A and so on, right? And the thing is, a village is all of these minerals and vitamins and everything, and you trying to shove everything is like that story. Remember, I maybe told you, in our culture, whenever you are sick, the solution is have one lemonade, right? Yeah. So they say one day somebody was choking on lemonade. He had so much lemonade, and he was having a reaction to it, so he fell down. And the guy was walking. He said, "What is wrong?" He says he's collapsed. He's like dying. He says, "Why don't somebody just give him a bit of a lemonade?" So as if you are a hammer, everything looks the nail. And so the thing is, again, in the parenting, we are suffocating children with ourselves sometimes if we don't diversify that. There is only so much they can take from a mom or dad. They need diversity. If you are in a state of fear for your children and you want them to, I need to everything controlled, it creates a pressure. They will pick up on the vibes. They need uncle, they need neighbor, they need things.
Good friends, masjid, imam, like community.
What they will pick up in that mosque, so there has to be that variety that makes up life. So how will you receive that? How will your child receive that if you don't give it to somebody else's child? Think about that. Think about that. Every time you sell somebody else's child and you do that, you diversify your effort, you can accept it that somebody will do that to your child. And this is a concept which they call, by the way, game theory. Game theory. Prisoner's dilemma. In the game theory, if you read this one, in very famous in economics and so on, they have a prisoners, basically, or a people who, if they collaborate, for example, then they get one outcome. If they turn each other on each other, they get another outcome. If they deny, they get... So all of the possible combination where the actors are put in a room, that they are self-interested actors. So they run this experiment where everybody behaves in their own best interests. And they created the softwares that behaves like this, and they compare it to the individuals or the communities or this culture where there is a cooperation amongst them. And guess which one wins? We would often think that the self-interested person who can trick you and take, and at the end of all of these computational, in the game theory, in this prisoner's dilemma, those who cooperate wins. You understand? And this is why, I mean that you will behave, how you behave towards other. If you are giving, if you say, I will work this much, I have enough, now the rest of time I need to do this, and it will come back to you. What you're building in your community, it comes back to you. You surround yourself with people. Then you put into that you're also children. This is why that become a body. That's become a culture. How we do things, how we help each other, we get help. And in that culture, we put a son or a daughter that he helps, he receives the help, he is concerned, he is thinking, he is activated. Just like physical activation builds your immune system, recovery time, strength, awareness, alertness, response, everything. Other than that is stagnation, death.
Yeah. No, that is a very, very good point. Very good point. I was thinking while I was talking about it, I was like, not helicopter parent, like not hovering too much, but the variety as
That's
well.
why the womb's relationship of the womb. Think about that.
SubhanAllah,
Think
yeah.
about just as a geography, you know.
Because everyone has
Just
something to give. Yeah, everyone has something to
These
give.
are relationships that binds you.
Yeah.
And so you have these and that, and then everybody working together, which is why you have this effect of this on you and others, which you cannot quantify, you cannot express. There is no, you don't understand why they are happening. You understand? So the benefits go beyond what you can account for.
Barakallah feek, Ustaz. And inshallah, next episode we'll speak about the shepherd's model. And again, thanks again for being here and another great conversation.
Excellent. Very mind-opening.
May Allah
Alhamdulillah.
reward you, and
Allahumma
thank you
ameen,
for
Allahumma.
having me.
No, thank you for always coming on. We really appreciate your time, inshallah.